I've seen my own faith progress and evolve. I've seen it weather many things, and I've pastored many people through theirs. And Jesus and Christianity still compels me. Sometimes Western Christianity and the American Jesus does not compel me, if I'm honest with you. But Jesus still does, and Christianity still does. And so I'm going to do this series called Certainly Not, and it is. I want to give credit to where it's due, based on Pete N's book, and I just want to show you the message titles, so you see where I'm going, and I'll start next week. But next week I'll start with when chasing spiritual certainty makes me actually more certain. And this is very contrarian to American Christianity, conservative Protestantism, mainline Protestantism, American evangelicalism, whether it's Pentecostalism, charismatic, or contemporary Christianity. Everything in that message is find the God who is certain. If you are uncertain, find the God who is uncertain. But I want to give you a contrarian view, which is actually the more you pursue the God of certainty, and the more that God is fed to you, you are fooled by it. It actually makes you less uncertain, less hopeful, because you're dealing with real things in your life. And Christianity can't be made a platitude, can't be made a greeting card, can't be a hotel seminar with positive slogans. It's a real thing. And so I think the genius of faith and the brilliance of Jesus' life and his teaching is that when you pursue your trust in him and can live uncertain, then you ironically gain certainty. Here's the second message I'll be teaching. Unknow what you believe. Again, everything we're usually told, especially when your faith is growing, know what you believe, learn how to defend what you believe. And I'm actually saying, no, some of you need to unknow what you believe. And why defending the faith, while having to defend the faith, is futile. It actually, in defending it more, weakens it. I love what the great scholar and great theologian N.T. Wright is. And when we're intellectually honest, we accept this. He said, all belief is really just opinion. All belief is really just opinion. So when you learn to unknow your belief and actually can learn to replace belief, a belief system, with actual trust in someone, this is where the security and certainty comes from. Not from knowing what you believe and then learning how to defend it. Here's the third thing I'll talk about. Wait, did God just lie to me? So what can happen is faith can be these platitudes, stand on the promises of God. But then what happens is your real life hits the promises of God, or what somebody has told you the promises of God. So you now either have to contort faith or make it up, or be less sincere about it, or talk yourself into a speech when what happens when the scriptures say something, but something different is going on? Did God just lie to me? I don't think so. But then contorting something, why true faith, trust, is less about standing on the promises and that the Bible is much more than an instruction manual. The Bible is greater than only an instruction manual. And when the Bible is merely an instruction manual, we reduce its beauty and its power. And so I'll talk about that. Here's the fourth thing. Don't even try to know what God is up to. So what happens is somebody like you loses a dog, or loses a job, or loses a parent, or loses a child, or loses your finances, your circumstances, something, your life runs into something, and somebody like you comes and sees somebody like me because you don't know what God is up to. So you come to see somebody like me because maybe I can tell you what God is up to. And when you come visit me, I tell you what God is up to. Because I'm supposed to tell you what God is up to. And maybe it's not someone like you coming to visit someone like me. Maybe it's somebody like you going to visit some TV preacher or some online thing or somebody who's been around the Christian block. And since you don't know what God is up to, they're quickly going to tell you what God is up to. And what I'm saying is don't even try. And actually, that's the irony of certainty. That the more you figure out what God is up to, the more uncertain you become. The more you don't even try. There's the irony of it. And so I'll talk about that. The fifth one is belief is easy, trust is hard. When the true truth is hard to believe. Not when the truth is hard to believe. When the true truth. I've had people say to me, open this book and they'll say, this is the truth. And they can't part from an ideology, an opinion. When your life goes, that's not true at all. What happens when something true is different from your spiritual ideology? What do you do with that? And so belief is easy. I've spoken on this before. It's like I can just tell you, this chair is sturdy. I bet you there isn't a person in this room who can't come up and sit and it will hold you up. That's easy to believe. And if you were to believe that, if I were to go watch, do you think this will hold up? Do you believe it? Before I put my keister on it, you believe it. But you have no vulnerability in that. There's nothing for you to risk believing this chair will hold you up. And this is why when faith becomes a belief system, there is no vulnerability in it. Faith is not belief. Faith is trust. Trust is living by going, I sure hope it holds me up. Now you're vulnerable. And that is based on relationship. Having a belief system, saying this is what you believe, standing on your belief, standing up for your belief. I'm not saying there's not challenges, but that is easy compared to actually being utterly vulnerable to it and leaning your life utterly to it when you're not sure it will hold you up. That's vulnerability. And this is how it works. The sixth message I'll give is why living uncertain is really, really a good idea. And why living uncertain is really, really a good idea for a healthy Christianity. The seventh message will be real faith needs doubt. Many of you told that doubt is bad and doubt is not a good thing, or why are you doubting? And somebody will show you verses in the Bible about doubt. And so what I want to help you with is doubt. Faith, real faith needs doubt. It needs it. It's not to avoid it, it needs it. Doubt can be one of the creators of true faith, the helpers of true faith. And then the final message will cultivate your heart while honoring your head. One of the things you've been hearing me say lately about our church is, I want us to be a church filled with loving people. Loving is our highest aim. But I want us to be a church where we're also people who feel. I want us to be a church for thinking people, where you use critical judgment. You use your head, and there's critical thought. You're smart and you're wise about this, but there is a way to be able to cultivate your heart while honoring your head. So the last thing I want to say about this is, for those of you who are exploring Christianity in this room, you are unsure and uncertain about the whole deal, I'd come to a series called Certainly Not, and see if something illumines for you. But those of you who have been around this a long, long time, decades, I wouldn't miss this. And see if God has a way of deepening, expanding you, where you are brave enough to let go of something and see God do a new thing in you. See Jesus do a new thing in you. I know we got a big day in Nashville ahead with the Predators and all that, but perhaps before the sun goes down, you can read a chapter in the Bible. It's 1 Corinthians 13. Guess how long it'll take you to read this chapter? 3 minutes. And that's if you're a slow reader. Take you 3 minutes to read 1 Corinthians 13. But I'll give you an idea of what this chapter is about. In my parlance, this chapter is called the love chapter. It's when Paul teaches on love, and they've been in many greeting cards, or when you go to your Christian bookstores, they make lots of Jesus trinkets about love is this, love is that, love is paid. It's the famous love passage. And in the start of that chapter, Paul is basically saying this, that the greatest thing in a relationship with Jesus and the greatest thing of Christianity is love. And he goes, I don't care what belief system you have. If you have a belief system that you're passionate about and you're committed to, and you know what you believe and you stand on those beliefs, if you know that, but love is not true of your life, it makes no difference what you believe. The greatest thing and the ultimate proof test that God is in your life is love flows out of you. It's not what you believe. It's that love flows out of you. And then he ends that chapter by saying, when this life ends, there will be 3 things that last. When this life ends. And he says, faith will last. Well, let me just say this about faith. If your faith is a belief system, is faith about believing the right thing so you get the right God, so you get to heaven, then that kind of faith doesn't need to last. You just do it in this life, and then you've done it well that it gets you into the next life. But Paul says faith is still needed in the next life. So faith is not belief. As I've been teaching here, faith is trust. Even in the next, think about the people you love now. So when I married Liz, my relationship with her involves, there's trust. It's love and it's trust. We'll need trust all the way through, regardless of what we see or accomplish. It's in friendship, it's in love affairs, it's in any relationship. It's leaning into somebody. You will need trust even in the next life. And then he says another thing lasts, hope. You don't need just hope for the next life. There will still be things in the afterlife that will require you to hope in. But then he said, of these two, there is a third one that is the greatest, and that is love. So the thing that sits on the top shelf is faith and hope are great, but love is even on the top shelf. Yesterday came the time that we took Ranger to the vet to finally say goodbye to him, and he was alert the whole way. So they brought us in the room, and my children were just 6 and 7 when they got Ranger. I bought Ranger at the mall in Boulder, Colorado. And I remember everybody saying, don't buy a dog at the mall. I bought Ranger. I got the best dog at the mall. And I would tell him all his life. I go, you're a mall dog. But our dog had the most expressive eyes. You knew what he was thinking. And so my children grabbed his face, and they told him how much they loved him, and they thanked him. And then we all did that with him together. It was a beautiful thing for our family. And here's what I want to say about that. I want to guard some of those moments. They're private for our home. And they're sacred. It was a sacred thing for my family. But see, the circumstances were uncertain. Here's where certainty is. When trust and hope are found in love, that's where the certainty was. You see, using that as an illustration, all the circumstances are unknown, or all the grief is there, the heartache, the brokenness is all there. We said goodbye to a family member that in this life we will never see again. But I do know that all dogs go to heaven, especially this dog. Right? But we will do the rest of this life without him. And it was a sad day. But I sat there and I said, this is what makes me certain, is there is complete trust and love here. Not my belief system, not some promise I was standing on, not some truth I was claiming. It was the fact that the love there was pure, and that is what enveloped us with certainty and enveloped us with the presence of God. Does this make sense? And this is whether you're standing over the life of a child or seeing a marriage that has been a beautiful thing blow apart, or see your life turned over. That when God is present and you are enveloped in that trust and love, that's where the certainty is found. And so I hope I can give just a little ounce of teaching you that this summer. But next week. This week I need to rest a bit. Let's pray. God in heaven, we need you. And thank you that you are a God that cares about our children, cares about our friendships, our boyfriends, our girlfriends, cares about our families and our marriages, cares about our jobs, cares about our dogs and cats and goldfish. I pray for those in this room who are bedeviled by uncertainty, who have thought that the approach is to rid their lives of uncertainty and to find a kind of spirituality that is like a disinfectant that will spray on uncertainty and make it all go away. There is no way to do that. So I pray that you would help us to understand what is and what is not, to hold on to something that we've never picked up, to let go of something that we have thought was a belief that we need to let go of, to find you in it. Thank you for Thanks for Ranger. He taught me about love and acceptance and fun and forgiveness. Say hello to him. And to all the dogs and cats. And aunts and uncles and mothers and fathers and brothers and friends who are enveloped in your love. Thank you for life. Thank you that it's beautifully uncertain. And it's all the pathway to trust. And go Preds. In Jesus' name, peace. See you next week.